So we've had this bus here for a couple weeks. They dropped it off. We're going to do an inspection on it. He just purchased it. We're going to go through it. We've been finding all kinds of super sketchy, scary things on it along the way as we go here. You'll see in this video here. Again, this bus just came out of not revenue service, but it was a church bus. So it was hauling passengers around. And then it was purchased by this gentleman. He's going to turn it into an RV. But first thing he did was bring it to us for a safety inspection. And you'll see all kinds of scary things, like I said. This bus definitely needed a safety inspection, and we're going to get it back on the road safely here. We're going to go through it here, and it's going to take us a couple of weeks. They dropped it off. We did some work on it. We had to move it out of the shop to get other buses in, and then we're getting ready to get back to it.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Now you got an air leak, huh?
Yeah.
Try the other one. Can you reach the other one?
Maybe. No, I can't. Not from over there. Or not from over here.
God, that stinks.
Dang it, I got the air dryer.
Why don't you try the pry bar? Maybe you can get it with the pry bar. That's good.
There you go.
Looks pretty good. Okay, thank you. Airbags look really good. This shock is leaking. The radius rods look good. The mounts look good. Tiny little bit of rust down there, but nothing to be overly concerned about. Air tanks look good. We know the kingpin's bad. Wheel seal's got just the slightest amount of moisture back there. We should probably go ahead and replace it. Nothing getting on the brakes though. I can see the drums, a little bit of heat checking in there, but nothing crazy. Plenty of brake shoe left. Looks like it's had pretty good maintenance done on its life. Cap is very hard. It's supposed to be a little bit more pliable. So is that grease in there?
It is grease.
Yeah, some funky grease.
We're done that yourself today.
Okay, yeah, this wheel seal is just leaking on there. See how moist everything is. We're gonna go ahead and repack the bearings. It's got grease bearings. Looks like somebody probably added oil to it because it has the oil type caps on it. And caused it to leak extra good. We definitely got to repack the bearings because I can see daylight between the bearings. The grease is no longer where it needs to be because the oil kind of diluted it and washed it out. So, but the bearing surface itself looked pretty good. Just dirty right there. No scoring or anything. So we're gonna replace the wheel seal, repack the bearings, put that back on. Everything looks pretty good under there. No reason in the inspection to get this done. It's easier and cheaper just to replace it now than do the labor later. So this is the wheel race here on a bus. That thing is super bad. Pretty scary, actually. It's coming apart. That was going 70 miles an hour down the highway 2 days ago. The bearing doesn't look any better. Jonathan immediately noticed that the bearing was bad. I'm really surprised how bad, but yeah, that's coming apart. That is that's not good. There we go. The spindle looks good on here. There's no crazy wear, top or bottom. It's clean. Wiped off the wiper. There's a little bit of rust on the back side of that, but that's not going to affect what our seal rides on there. So we've got a new wheel seal going in. We've repacked the bearings. This side will be done. These bearings are good. We're just going to clean up these brake shoes a little bit before we put the drum back on, and then we'll adjust the brakes. But this side of the bus will be good to go. The other side's going to need new bearings. The bearings are pretty bad. We're going to go ahead and repack them and put them on so it's still drivable, but they need to be replaced over there. But yeah, this side looks really good.
When I said drivable, I just meant on the property here so we could get out of the shop so it wasn't plugging up a bay. We're moving out of the shop for about 2 weeks. We have the next bus coming in, and then it'll come back in. We've ordered the new parts, so we'll get the new wheel bearings put on it here as soon as we bring it back in.
Okay, go ahead. Yep. Okay, stop. The MCI has some weak batteries in it. These are 24-volt configuration here, so positive, negative. Luckily, this charger that we have here is 24 volt. It's only 25 amps at 24 volt, but at least it gets us there, and we're powering that by the Blue Eddy down here. And I got this wheel off. I think I'm ready to take over to the tire shop.
Going on the thing. Oh, that's why.
All right, so we got these bad bearings out. New wheel bearings and races are all put in here. Getting ready to put this back together. We had to get a new stem coat cap for it too because the plastic was broken on it. But yeah, this is all back together, ready to go up here, so that's good. We can't use our bud nut socket on here because it has too long of a stud in there. They used the inner lug nut that's here. It looks like a stud, but it's not. That's the inner lug nut. They used the kind that's made for an outer rim to be aluminum on it, so it sticks out a lot further. The bud nut socket has a square drive and the 1.5" built in, and this won't go on there because those are too long. They have the inner lug nuts are made for outer aluminum rims, and this has steel outer rims on it, so it's the wrong lug nuts that are on there. We can't use our socket. So luckily I have a deep well 1.5" on my 3/4 inch gun that we can get in there. But I need to order a 1-inch drive, deep well 1.5" to avoid when people do this, when they have the wrong lug nuts on there. Luckily they're not over tightened. Yeah. actually for inner aluminum as well, with that big collar on it like that. Does that feel loose? Does that wheel feel loose? No? Okay. It's gotta be close to bottoming out. I like the gun.
It's a little heavy, but it don't.
It definitely gets them. So far.
Yeah.
And we have a bigger battery coming for that gun too.
It's got aluminum in it.
Huh?
It's got aluminum studs too. Usually they're not that long for.
Yeah, a couple of them are long. Gee, we have a leaky wheel seal? Is that oil inside there or is that water? This looks like gear oil to me.
water. That is gear oil.
Yeah. It smells like ass. That whole thing is coated in it. Should we get a flashlight out? Oh my god. That's a sketchy airbag. Holy cow. Shock looks like it's leaking. What else is going on over here? That is a very bald tire there, right? I'm not imagining it. Got a rag? There's a towel right there on the ground, right foot. Zero millimeters tread. Kind of see where tread used to be. This is what they're supposed to look like that are on there. That's for a steel inner and a steel outer. And not that giant aluminum inner, aluminum outer nut. So this, by the time it was on there, that's how much space you're supposed to have. Let me put this one on there. The center stuck out way too far, and we couldn't get our bud nut socket on. Look at that airbag. This was just being used by a church recently. Well, at least as recent as COVID. When COVID hit, the person that was in charge of the bus, I think, got sick with COVID, and I think they passed or something. But either they just got out of the maintenance business on it. But yeah, that's when you got the cords separating coming through. That's even worse. It's holding air.
Looks more like air bubbles.
Air bubbles?
Yeah.
I still hear it hissing.
Yeah. Well, I had to air it back up.
Yeah. The brakes are a little gooey. Lubricated all the way across. It's been like that a long time. That is a heck of a leaky wheel seal. So that should come off, or is that the nut? Okay, yeah. How far out of adjustment is it? It was there.
One side.
Yeah. So it's definitely out of adjustment. We're gonna see some wear in these bearings. I see sparkles. Just jiggle the hub and pull it a little. Don't let the bearing hit the ground though. Just keep doing that, it'll come. A little bit more and you got the bearing. I mean, there's lines all over everything. I gotta clean my lens.
I got some weird lines.
There's some little divots and stuff on there too. I'm gonna get a close up here if I can. There's been a lot of metal going through there. The surface is just shit. Keep going. I would see one that was really, really bad in there. They're all junk. There might be one that's totally coming apart. Turn it long ways. There you go. That's definitely sparkling. You scoop the inside out with your hand a little bit. See how much is leaked on the floor back there from just sitting here. That was how bad that seal was leaking. And the seal's leaking because the bearings aren't tight.
There's some metal on my hand.
Yeah. You can see how sparkly it is from here. Okay, go ahead and set that on the pig mat. That wheel seal's been leaking a while on there. There's a dust shield on here. You can barely even see it. There's a couple bolts that hold it on, like every other one there. And that whole big metal cap will come off of there. And then we can get to the seal retainer to remove it, and then we can get the bearing out of there. But yeah, that thing is a mess. I mean, obviously the brake drum is extremely greasy. And, you know, the amount of buildup in grease on the brakes is pretty impressive. Again, this was run by a church, hauling people around to church. What a mess. That's the extra stinky, dirty, sticky good. Oh, Phillips head screws, that never happens. That's a bonus. Normally they're flat head screws in there. You impacted it right into there. Washer.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should use a smaller one.
That's an amazing tool.
Stays in there a little better when it's a Phillips.
Yeah. I have to give it a couple little taps with the hammer to get it to come off. Looks like it's Permatex down there. Just don't hit super hard. Man. Let's take a look at that bearing, see what we got. I can see the grooves in it from over here.
It's scratched up.
I can see the race is super dull. There's no chunks out of it though, but yeah, it's had a lot of metal going through it.
Right there.
Is it hitting the vise? No. Try not to hit the floor because it's making a clunk noise. So it's all moving independently. So the wheel moves first, then the hub, and then the swing arm moves. Nice grease too. They could not fit any more grease in there if they freaking tried. That is not how you do it. I knew there was a nut under there somewhere under all that grease. That grease does nothing, by the way out there. Just, that's not good for it. Well, it was tight, I'll give him that. Okay, grab the big, the big gun. Just the slightest little tap on it. See how much that'll turn to the right. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
That's not too far of adjustment. Go ahead and back it off and see how everything looks. So you go and pull that bearing out. Doesn't look horrible.
No.
That wheel seal was leaking too. Just wasn't getting on the brakes yet. Okay, hit that brake drum with a couple of sledgehammer blows and we should be able to separate it from the hub. Don't hit the bus. Don't hit yourself. They're definitely worn. They're not real pretty. They need to be on the list to replace relatively soon. There's at least 2 hours of just cleaning parts up on this thing. Maybe more. Everything's so grody. So we can see just by looking at here that that shock has leaked out. It's fluid. It's bad. It's all dirty there. And an initial inspection, I can see that it's got a leaky wheel seal in there. Well, it sucks. Yeah, it's leaky in there. It's all wet. So that's got to be replaced. This airbag actually looks halfway decent. That's good. There's another shock that's all leaked out. Yeah, that one's just starting to get a leak. I can see some air leaks back there, just judging by where the oil. When you see black around air hoses and it looks oily substance on the air hoses, that usually means sign there was a leak there. There's another shock that's leaked. And that one's got a leak on it. That one's got a leak on it. All right. Yep. Was this one spinning, or we haven't got to this one yet?
I don't think we're doing that one yet.
Okay. You can see how worn the race is there. This is the other rear. You can see water's been getting in there from that rusty color. Shut the air off to the bus.
No, it is just broken and split.
Yeah, shine your light a little better for me there. That whole bottom of that airbag carrier beam the weld is broken off. You can see the big, point to it with your finger, Tyler, to help them out. All through there. Ain't supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that.
It's a piece of C channel in the wrong direction.
It goes the whole way. That's what the airbags get held up on.
It's also what holds the axle.
And what holds the axle. A little bit of an air leak there. Keep spraying. Spray the brake valve back behind it. Yeah, that regulator's really leaking. Spray those hoses on the bottom of that valve. Spray the up on top of the differential there, where the inversion valve. Yeah.
That's leaking too. Unless that's just.
I think that dripped on there. Spray it on there and see if that actually just dripped. Cause yeah, it's running down.
Yeah.
Could be the top of that's leaking though. Is that hose leaking around the corner?
Quit leaking.
Yeah. But the one behind it, is it leaking? Something in the back is. It's all leaking. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So this bus was actually just recently a church bus. It just came out of, the church sold it to a car dealer, or however, a car dealership just ended up with it from the church. I don't know how I got it, but the car dealership sold it for the church. Maybe that's how it was. But it's still a full-on bus in here. And the new owner of it bought it and then immediately brought it. His first place he drove it to was to here to get it inspected and safety inspection before he starts going through the conversion on it to turn it into an RV. Legally, it is actually an RV. He had already done all of the paperwork changes and everything on the titling to change the title over to an RV. Most states do not allow you to do that if it's still full of seats. You got to pull all the seats out. You got to have household 110 electricity. You got to have a way to cook food, a way to store food, refrigerator.
You gotta have a sleeping space, that kind of stuff. There's like 7 or 9 things, and you have to have like 5 of the, I don't remember what it is. Some states may vary, but I think he did it through Vermont. I think is where he said he did it through, where it is actually now titled as an RV and not as a bus. Otherwise, if it's still a bus, you'd need to have a CDL to drive this thing down the road. The RV loophole does not apply to you if it's still a bus. So be very careful if you do that kind of stuff. Now, this thing was not safe and legal to drive. When it left that dealership, it should have not been sold in the condition that it was in. Some of the things should have been taken care of on it. It should have, if you're going to buy something like that, ask for a current DOT inspection on it. Make sure it's got a current DOT inspection on it, and then you would avoid all of that hassle. And if it's coming out of commercial service, it definitely should have had that, or find out when the last one was issued on it. I assume churches still have to have a DOT inspection, but I've seen some real sketchy stuff on church buses. So I don't know if it's because they're not for hire, if there's some kind of a commercial loophole or something that they fall under. You wouldn't think so, because this is all about safety, but then RVs fall in the loophole, and that's all about safety too. So I have no idea. I don't really know what the deal is, but technically it's a bus, but legally it's not. And we're making it safe, and this owner is willing to, you know, put the budget into it. And we got some pretty sketchy things that we found on here that we're addressing and taking care of.
See that white smoke rising up the holler through the trees, and from a mile away you can hear them play as they climb that hill with ease. At the top of that mountain there's a new life waiting for those who can make the run. If they can make it to the top, Scott will put them in the shop till their new life has begun. Mountain, where the buses come to run. Bus Grease Mountain, we're gonna get that big